Welcome to all you listeners out there. This is Comic Book Central, where comic books come to life, the world's first podcast devoted exclusively to in-depth interviews with the talented folks who bring comics to life in film, television, animation, video games, podcasts, and beyond. I'm your host, Joe Stewart. Today, it is my penultimate episode looking back at my adventure at TerrifiCon, Connecticut's #1 comics and pop culture convention. Now, we've been revisiting my Q&As at this summer's event. Today, we are going full-on superhero with a double shot of JLA from the Justice League of America animated series. Actors Carl Lumbly and Phil LaMarr, both are veterans of Comic Book Central. Check this out. Carl joined me way back on episode 48, where we talked about his animated turn as Martian Manhunter on the Justice League animated series, as well as his live-action superhero show Mantis. And Phil is not only a veteran of Comic Book Central, he is a TerrifiCon regular. Episode 342, that is my in-depth chat with Phil, where we go into detail on his turn as Green Lantern in the DC animated universe, as well as Static Shock. And then episode 423, that was my TerrifiCon Q&A with Phil and his fellow JL actors, Susan Eisenberg, she played Wonder Woman, Tim Daly, of course, Superman, and the late, great Kevin Conroy, Batman, the voice of Batman that we hear every time we read a comic book. Every time we think of Batman, we hear Kevin Conroy. He is so missed. Iconic voice actor panel there at TerrifiCon. Yeah, the legends continued this year at TerrifiCon with Phil and Carl. My chat with them and audience questions straight ahead. And if you want to be in the audience for one of my TerrifiCon Q&As, tickets for next year's event, they are on sale right now. TerrifiCon takes place August 7th through the 9th, terrificon.com. That's where you want to be to get your tickets. Follow on the socials as well for guest announcements, and be sure to tell them Stuberman sent you. All right, quick note, my 12th anniversary special, that is headed your way very soon. I'm working on it feverishly as we speak, and you've got a wee bit of time to get your anniversary greetings to me, and you can tell me your favorite guests from the past year of the show. You can say your anniversary greetings, whatever you want to say. Drop me a line, joe@comicbookcentral.net, or you can leave a voicemail at the website comicbookcentral.net. Just click that voicemail toggle on the right-hand side of the homepage. I will get your messages on that upcoming 12th anniversary special. All right, super-sized show today. Double the superhero goodness. Green Lantern, Martian Manhunter, talking JLA today with Carl Lumbly and Phil LaMarr. My goodness, today, straight from the Watchtower, we've got two heroes whose voices defined a generation. We've got the heart and soul of the League, the Martian Manhunter himself, and the sharp wit and unwavering will of Green Lantern. Let's hear it for Justice League legends, Carl Lumbly and Phil LaMarr.
We got comic book fans in here? Like me. So, us comic book fans, it is huge joy to be sitting next to somebody who's DC and Marvel.
Well, both DC and Marvel, like a little Spider-Man action though, right? I mean, Spider-Man 2? Yeah. We count this, right? We talked about that on Comic Book Central. Both of you gents, I've had the honor of having you both on Comic Book Central, so thank you so much for that. We're going to get into a bunch of things today. Before we get to Justice League, and we will get to Justice League, and I'm sure everybody's got their Justice League questions. Carl, I've got to ask you about bringing Isaiah Bradley to life. From Truth, Red, White, and Black, on the Falcon and the Winter Soldier and Captain America: Brave New World. Can you just, again, before we get into Justice League, I'm sorry, I've got to ask Carl about it. That such an amazing performance and such a powerful story too, coming from the pages of the graphic novel. So can you talk a little bit about how that role came into your life? And I'm going to have you gents go right into the mic just for the audio.
So I guess it came into my life the way they normally do for me. You go audition, or you put yourself on tape, or you make yourself available for the possibility. I did not know about Isaiah, so I read Truth. And after I read Truth, I it's the unfortunate thing that happens. You don't care until you read something, and then it's all you can think about.
Right. That's a hard graphic novel to put down.
Yeah, and it was, what I loved about it was I thought that the fact that he had volunteered to go on a suicide mission for his country, and then was successful, and accomplished the mission when Steve Rogers couldn't be there, and then came back and was accused of having stolen the uniform, and was in prison and then experimented on because they couldn't figure out why the serum hadn't killed him. So all of that could either be a tremendous set of grievances that someone would live with until it killed him, and then of course the serum is keeping him alive, so he'd have to live with it his entire life. Or it could be the obstacle that defines him because he survives. And so that was my choice, that it was the obstacle that not only in surviving did he save his own life, but he made a statement about the strength and the power and the necessity of spirit, because no matter how strong he was made, he couldn't have overcome that without having a much stronger spirit. So his power is as much in what he contains and what he holds in as it is in his occasional temper tantrums and his strength. He doesn't know how strong he is because so often he's in another state when he's called on to deal with it. So it was, I felt like it was an honor and an opportunity for me to honor people who do something that I couldn't do. I don't know that I would ever be able to volunteer to go into a service where the potential would be there to kill someone. It's not in my blood. But if it was, I would want to be like Isaiah. I would want to go all in for more than myself.
It's unreal, but the question I had here, you tapped into like all the words that you mentioned, this quiet strength, you mentioned sacrifice, the injustice of survival. When you finished filming, did you take anything away from, like, did part of Isaiah stay with you a little bit, and what can we look forward to?
I think there's a part of Isaiah that I brought in.
Okay.
And I think his specific story, I took away essentially what I said, that there are people who are capable of doing amazing things, and I may not be one of those people, but I guess the joy of doing this work is I can play one.
Yeah.
You can play anything. I mean, I'm sure they cast you because of your great talent, but I think there might have been some exec who decided, we got to cast this Tuskegee Captain America with the great actor who was the first black superhero on TV in Mantis.
Oh, God.
We got a chance to talk about that on Comic Book Central. You were one of my early guests, and we talked. We did a deep dive into Mantis, so that was if anybody wants to check that out, it's fantastic. But
you can't find Mantis in no comic books.
Can't find, but I think you can find it on Amazon. I think you can rent it, so I think you can download the episodes. So I'm pretty sure they're out there. Yeah. So Phil, let's go back for both of you. But where did the interest in acting come in? For both of you, let's start there. Just what were you doing? Do you recall, like, the first things or some of your inspirations early on that made you go, "Oh, wait a minute, I can do this for a living"? Wait a minute.
I was a lucky nerd.
Aren't we all?
In 8th grade, my school was doing a play of a book that I loved, The Phantom Toll Booth.
Oh, man.
Oh, okay.
So I went to audition. It's like, oh, there's this great little character towards the end of the story. And then the guy cast me as one of the leads. So that got me into acting.
At 8?
Yeah, 8th grade.
Oh, 8th grade. I'm sorry. Okay, so what was it about it that appealed to you? Was it just that immediate sense of a reaction of Oh, he's doing something pretty cool. Like
It's making
what fed
fictional
that?
worlds touch people.
Yeah.
That's what I love about
Yeah.
it.
I don't know if anybody can see. He's got a Green Lantern ring on. Can you show that? Like, this is like.
In brightest day.
We'll say for the whole thing, just to tease it for right now. We don't, just everybody hang on. We'll get there. It's so cool because I ran John Wesley Shipp's panel yesterday, and he had a flash ring on. So we love that you all are, because I know there was a period of time when actors didn't embrace these kind of roles, and it was like, I'm going to be typecast into something forever. And it's like now you guys are like repping the brand, and you guys, so we love that too. Do you recall?
Now, usually, whatever role you do, you don't just get out wearing your costume.
Do you have a full costume? That's a home thing, right? That's
it's a lot easier to wear a ring.
Yeah, we'll keep the ring here. We'll keep the costume. Do you recall your first paid gig? Like, what was your just getting in the business? What got the SAG card?
Well, weirdly, it was junior year of high school, because my mother's junior college friend got a job at NBC and became the highest ranked black woman in TV. And I guess my mom had dragged her to some of my plays. So she got me to audition for a cartoon, the Mr. T cartoon.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And that was my first acting gig. It got me in the union.
Did you know who Mr. T was when you were doing the cartoon?
Oh, yeah. Everybody knew who Mr. T was.
Yeah, okay.
I've seen a Rocky movie.
I don't know. I've even interviewed actors on this stage that said they grew up without a television.
To now, our time, I ain't never, ever met Mr. T. He didn't record with us in the cartoon. Well, probably because it was one of the few cartoons back in the 80s to actually hire young people to play kids.
Right.
Most cartoons, that would have been middle-aged women.
Yeah, that's right.
Because typically in that era, you would all get together as like a radio play or something like the cast of Scooby-Doo and stuff like that. They would all get together, and so that was unusual for him to not be. So to this day, wow.
It's still going.
Okay, well, maybe the dream could come alive.
Hopefully I'll run into him at a con.
Yeah, you could. Carl, same question for you then. How do you recall when you first caught the acting bug, and what was maybe some of your first paid gigs? I know we're going back to the Mr. Time a little bit, but that's what I do.
So I don't know that I ever caught the acting bug. I think I was bitten and infected.
Thank God.
I started off as a journalist. I was assigned a freelance. I wrote for a freelance article for Downtown Minneapolis magazine, and they assigned me to do a story about a theater that had lost its cast to Los Angeles. And they were going to recast 5 people. So I got there early, and they handed me a card. I thought it was an audience card to rate the people, and it was actually an audition card. And I thought, well, this will be great. I'll write this story from the perspective of somebody who wants to be in this company. 5 people, and I think there was a couple hundred people were auditioning. And the audition was essentially improvisational, right on your feet. And so, because I was a writer, I had a facility with words, and I did not like being on a stage, but I liked stories. And I loved literature. I was a library nerd, and so I loved story. And so it was a way to kind of be inside a story. And the audience didn't really matter as much to me as the people on stage. So we were playing, and there were people watching, but as long as they didn't come too close, I was fine. Then at the end of it, they said, so we would like you to join the company. I said, no, I'm a writer. I'm writing this story. I showed them, and they said, oh, okay, and they went away. And then they called back a couple days later, and they said, if you want to take a shot at it, we would like you to join it. You could do it for a show, and if you don't like it, then you wouldn't have to keep doing it. I did a show, and then I did a second show, and then I realized, no, I'm not actually an actor, and so I thought about quitting it.
Wow.
I actually had gotten...
We dodged a bullet there.
My old boss from Associated Press had moved to San Francisco, and about a month before I left Minneapolis, which is something I had always wanted to do, and moved to San Francisco. So when I got there, I was looking for a couch, and there was a performing arts column, and it said, 2 black actors needed for South African political plays. And I didn't know what that was, but it sounded interesting, and I knew a lot about South Africa, so I went to the library, my home away from home, and I got the play, read the play, and then went to this theater, which is in the basement of a church, to audition. And went down the stairs to the audition. There were 2 people there, the director, a man named Robert Woodruff, and this other actor. And I read with the other actor, and I ended up getting the role, and the other actor was a man named Danny Glover. And
wow.
Danny and I did this play up and down the coast of California. This was in 77, 78. And then we ended up doing it in Los Angeles and got agents, and yeah, I don't know what happened with Danny, but no, Danny and I are still.
Listen,
great,
if you're going to
great
drop
friends.
a name in a story, man, that's a great name to drop.
Oh
that
my
is
God.
perfect.
Yeah.
You said improv. I mean, do you remember like what scene you improv'd all those years ago? Like, do you remember what you did? Like, what you tapped into, or?
I remember a lot of it was political satire.
Okay.
So it
Wow.
was at the time it was just prior to the bicentennial.
Okay.
And so it was just a lot of scenarios around that. And in fact, the first show I did was called Who Will Buy the Bicentennial, which was a sort of a satirical look at this celebration of
Wow.
independence that had nuance and ambivalence inside it.
I
So
love that you
was-
remember that. Were you a Mad Magazine fan
Hey,
at all?
Carl, that is such an incredible story. That's like a journalist writing an article about the war, getting invited to join the Marines. That don't ever happen.
Were either one of you comic book kids growing up? Like, did you gravitate? I mean, yeah, you said nerds.
Yeah, I got some comic books sold. I got some Mad magazines older than me.
wow. You still have long boxes and stuff? Like, you bag and board?
Oh, yeah.
Do you bag? Okay, you got. What's the prize of
my
your collection?
non-nerd kids are going, Dad, what's all this stuff?
Yeah, God forbid you got to take off. You got to grab a go bag, and what comic book are you grabbing? What's the prize of your collection there that you got to take with you no matter what? Do you have one?
Well, these days, when I'm going to a con, I go through my comics and try to find issues by the guests at the con.
Okay. So you look ahead.
So I got
You do what we do.
Yeah.
Drag them with you, and then.
Yeah, I got a stack of stuff like Chris Claremont and Howard Chaykin.
Oh man, you are one of us. One of us.
Kyle
One of
Baker.
us. Yeah.
Baker, yeah.
Did you read comics growing up at all?
No, I was not allowed to. My parents were immigrants to this country, and so I have 3 sisters. And my father and mother said it wasn't literature, and if they caught me with a comic book, which I was a real nerd. I didn't do that.
Okay.
The first comic book I read
You behaved.
was when Andrea said, "Do this character," and that the character had never been animated before, and she pointed me in the direction of.
That was your
Martian
introduction to
Manhunter.
comic books.
That was my introduction.
And then, did that little boy inside just like fall over? Finally, I get my hands on these things. It was like, what are these things? What did you think when you read
I
your
was
first
just struck by the power of the image. I was attached to words and language, but I did not realize that language could be amplified in the way it could be by an image, or conversely, that the image could stand for language on its own without a caption.
Yeah.
And I thought that was very powerful. And I also will confess that when I got Martian Manhunter, doing Doing
I don't know that I've ever heard that reaction. That was fantastic. I wasn't ready for that. That was pretty
That was
cool.
amazing.
That was pretty cool.
Well, I mean,
I get it.
I
but
guess Andrea, after working with Kevin Conroy, realized I can bring a great on-camera actor in to do this cartoon. Because
Sorry, I just wasn't ready for that.
When you first came into a Justice League recording session, I was like, oh my God, I'm a huge fan of Buckaroo Banzai.
Oh man, which is really amazing to me, because when I walked into that session, because we did them all together, almost like you were doing a play and the cast was all there, and I just marveled. And what I felt was that being my first time, it was kind of like an academy. It was sort of like being allowed to play on the varsity as a freshman.
Wow.
And so I just learned. I just absorbed and learned and came to really respect what it took to create a character and only have your voice to work with.
But you performed the character so amazingly well that they eventually put the character on camera in the DC universe on Supergirl.
Yep.
They brought the Martian Manhunter.
Yeah. And then the joy of joys, I got to play my own character's father. On Supergirl.
I want to ask you about that. We've got a microphone over here, by the way. I'm guessing there's some audience questions. Do you guys have questions? If you can line up right over here, just head on over. I can riff for a little bit while you guys are getting lined up.
How rare do you get to play the father
of your character, right.
Yes.
While we're,
Carl's amazing talent actually got me to be on camera in DC.
While we're getting the lineup here, I got to ask you, gents, do you recall and if you don't, that's okay, but do you recall the first line you recorded as your Justice League characters? Do you recall the first line that you did? Or do you recall that first day going in? I mean, you referred to it a little bit, but...
I just remember being incredibly nervous, and I don't get
You were nervous?
I was really, really nervous.
Why?
And I don't get nervous in front of a camera. By that time, I'd done enough stage. I didn't get nervous. But there are no, you can't play any tricks. You can't do anything cute with your face or, open an eye. None of that makes any difference. The character has to live simply inside the voice and inside the story of the character. And because his story, for me, was an immigrant story, I felt like that was what I had to attach to. And so it made me nervous because I felt it was important. I wanted to contribute. I didn't want to let Andrea down, the director who had brought me in to work with this amazing group of artists. So I was nervous. That lasted probably 2 or 3 recording sessions.
Wow.
And then
I can't believe you're nervous in anything. I get the newness of it or something like that, but still, just anyway, I guess it's all perspective, because you guys are probably going.
Did it eventually become less nervous? Well, also, I mean, when you're performing on a microphone, playing your character, doing whatever the scene, you can't turn your head.
Right.
Or the engineer goes, no, you're off mic.
Yeah, exactly.
But did it get more recognized or more easier by the time, later we got to work together again on Static Shock.
Oh, yes.
Where you got to play, where they brought Carl in to play Anansi, the Africa superhero.
That's right. It did get easier, and a lot of it was because I listened so much to these great voice people I was working with, and because we did it for a number of years, it grew on me, and I learned how to bring truth to my voice in that way.
Yeah.
So
That's
and now I just love it.
I'm guessing you were taking from them, and they were taking from you. The symbiotic relationship at that point. So that's just fantastic.
I was taking a tremendous amount from them. I might have had a few scraps they could fine, but I was
Very
taking
humble.
as much as I could.
I think we love the fact that you and your fellow actors just put so much into this, because it would be very easy to just go in and record your lines and give me a line read, what do you need, and move on. But the fact that you dig deep into the lore and you go through these things and you feel the weight of the characters, it's just, we appreciate that.
I would say part of that is, for me, it's the fact that audience is not in the room with you,
Right.
but audience is what you're reaching for.
Yeah.
It would be great to be able to bring it up and just have it to play and bounce around
Yeah.
with us, but the fact it has to transmit. And the audience has created a standard, and so you're trying to meet that standard.
Yeah.
And you only find out about it, I have learned subsequently, by coming to events like
That's
this.
let me right into it, because you don't have the audience there, but you have the audience right here. You're at your table, you have the audience right there. Now you can see it from that perspective. What does that mean to you both now that you're you're still doing voice acting, but it's like removed from that Justice League and you're seeing Static and all the other characters. But when you're seeing fans come up to you and tell you what that meant to them, or maybe it got them through a tough time, we've heard that in all these panels that are going on. What does that do for you now in that perspective of not just being behind the mic?
It makes me feel lucky. Well, getting to work with great storytellers and, get into these universes and have them successfully get out to other people.
Yeah.
That feels good luck.
Yeah. And now you're getting that love coming.
It's humbling because you don't realize how people receive what you're doing, and the things that people have had to say about what's touched them, where we showed up in their development as they went along. It's gratifying. I feel yes, lucky, but quite humbled. Yeah.
Well, we're fortunate that you did it. Let's go to the audience questions. Let's go first. Your name and where you're from?
Wally from New York.
Hey, sorry,
Yes,
sorry
you are.
on the audio.
You're on the mic.
That mic definitely works.
Okay, we're good.
Hey, well,
Okay, let's see what can I think. I was gonna first ask for Phil, what is like the most powerful Static Shock episode in terms of emotion, tackling hard issues and stuff? Your 3 episodes.
well, there's so many great episodes. I mean, it was basically like, wow, this is what it would be like if I got superpowers in high school. But, I mean, the best ones were either the episode where Static's father took him and his sister to Africa, or the one where he, got to travel back in time
Flashback, that's the one.
and got to see his mother who died.
All right, next question.
Hello, gentlemen. First for Carl. Carl, I want to thank you for a particular episode that you did as Martian Manhunter, which was a Christmas episode where Superman brought you home to the Kent family farm.
Yes. That was a tremendous amount of joy, and yes, it was the season, but it felt joyful to me. I thought the writers, as they always did, these stories were so good, and before I got into it, I thought that they were silly stories for kids, but there was enough to appeal because of the imagination, but the stories themselves were rooted in all of the same things we all go through, just connection and misunderstanding and ego, and all of these wonderful human characters had this stuff going on. So in that particular episode, Jean, Christmas, yeah, fine. I think he liked peppermint. That was good, but it didn't really mean anything. But the gesture was one he couldn't turn down, and so he goes and he's on this farm. And, Clark's family, they're very, very nice people, but you can't help but feeling out of it. You can't help but feeling this is not my thing. But as it went along and he began to see these examples of this spirit of joy and what Christmas meant to that family, he was able to relate it to certain kinds of celebrations in Mars. So by the end of that, he actually sang a Christmas carol in his own mind, a song of celebration, celebrating life that we used to sing in Mars all the time. The feature of that was that when we went in that day to do the show, Andrea Romano, the director, pulled me aside before we went in and said, when we finish up, I have just something I want you to do. Think of it as Martian Christmas Carol, but let's not talk about it now. Let's do that. So we did the read, and all I could think about was Martian Christmas Carol. So after everyone left, she asked me to improvise a Martian Christmas Carol, and that's the song. That,
oh my God.
Yeah.
Those improv skills coming back.
And I'm telling you, and I think I owe a debt to the editors, especially the sound editors on that, because they were able to edit together something that had coherence and seemed to be intentional.
My favorite part of that answer is when you said, "Well, we used to sing on Mars all the like." You took the character. I'm like, man, he inhabits the character. Like, it's just second nature to you right now. That's the best part of that. Thanks for the question.
Hi there, Marty from outside Minneapolis.
Hey.
Didn't know the connection before. So, it's been said that every actor needs to play Hamlet at some point, but I think the same is really true anymore for Sherlock Holmes. And Phil, you've played Sherlock in the Moriarty audio plays. So, how does it feel to have joined that community of actors? And given how many times that role has been portrayed, what did you do to put your own stamp on it?
Yeah, there's this Audible series called Moriarty, and I got to play Sherlock Holmes next to a couple of Lord of the Rings guys. Although it was interesting, well, one, to play a character who I had all the books of. But also it was like, uh-oh, is this gonna be tough since I'm the only non-British person? No, I'll just make sure I listen to their accents.
That's cool.
And then, actually, later on, they brought in Helen Mirren. Yeah. So it was a pleasure.
Next question.
Hi, I'm Ian, and I'm from Munson. What do you identify the most with your characters
For the Justice League or any of the characters?
for the Justice League?
For your Justice, how do you identify? What's the closest you identify with for your characters? What traits? Improv, we know that. We got that one.
I would say...
Or immigration.
Yes. I'd say listening and holding space for compassion. I have, especially when I was growing up, there was the 50s in this country were not particularly easy for people who looked like me, skin color like me. Definitely not easy for immigrants, people from another place. I remember when I was young telling someone that, our family was Jamaican, and they said, "Oh, Jamaica, what part of Africa is that?" So I think I learned two things. One, if someone expressed hatred for me, it didn't do me any good to hate them back, because I didn't want that as part of my being. But it still meant I had to find a way to carry it and store it so that it was not in my way. I think that that particular trait is something that I found very important in Jean Jones. Someone who had his planet blown up and then came to some place where he was the only green individual. No one else could read minds, no one else could discorporate, no one else could shapeshift. He was on his own. And what the universe had done to his planet, he could have been vengeful. He had a lot of grievances that if he wanted to, he could have decimated Earth, but instead he found in Earthlings something similar to what he knew on Mars, and could connect to that. So that's the piece in me that I felt was in him.
Wow.
Wow.
Phil?
I felt related to Jon Stewart, primarily because when I went in there to audition, Bruce Timm told us, well, Jon Stewart is the Green Lantern. I'm like, wait, not a backup Green Lantern like he is in the comics? Cool. But, he's also, I remember it's like, oh, well, he's from Detroit. And my daddy was from Detroit. So I was thinking, okay, he shouldn't just sound like a hero. He should sound like a soldier, a Marine. Although it was interesting because when I went into audition right after Dennis Haysbert.
Oh, God.
Who I was like, oh, thank God he didn't wear green, because they would have just started running cameras on this guy. Because he looked like the character.
Absolutely.
And the voice and everything.
Yeah,
too.
he's got that same.
Oh yeah. So,
So-
did you go in repping the brand? Did you go in
Well,
green?
I figured I got to sound as big as Dennis.
That's good. You can flip.
But
the
I'm going to
switch.
make sure he sounds like somebody from Michigan.
Wow. Perfect.
Hi, my name is Sylvia. I'm from Jersey City. For you, Carl, did the South African play that you were in, did it impact your role in The Color of Friendship? I love that movie. I love that movie. Down.
Yes, it did. Because I think that character that I played in Color of Friendship, Ron Dellums, led the charge in this country for identifying what was going on in South Africa and directing America to change its sort of palsy relationship with that regime. That play, because it was only two people, it was called Sizwe Banzi is Dead. And I played a photographer who was responsible for helping new black people in Johannesburg take the pictures that would go into the past book that would track their coming and going.
Wow.
So he was functioning in a way that made him aware of what people were getting into. They were coming to Johannesburg because they couldn't get work any other place, but the only way they could live in Johannesburg at that time was by having a pass book that tracked their coming and going and made sure that they weren't in places they weren't supposed to be in their own country. So that seemed so incredibly wrong, and I think that cemented for me the desire to address it. And anytime I had a chance, I did a few more South African plays after that. But then when Color of Friendship came up, and I realized this was about the next generation, and these two girls made a connection independent of anything political. They were just two young girls who started writing letters to one another, connected in that way. And my character then could learn from his daughter and be inspired to do more because of her courage and bravery and decency. So yeah, it definitely affected it.
Thank you. That was amazing.
Hi again. I'm Melody. I'm from down the road. So my question is for Phil. Phil, was there a story arc that you guys thought about doing, either during Justice League or Justice League Unlimited, that you didn't get to do for Jon Stewart that you had hoped they would do?
You mean like a storyline from the comics that they
Yes.
didn't put into?
Was there one that
No.
you were hoping to? No?
No, I knew they weren't taking everything directly from the comic. I mean, you ain't gonna read no comic book with Jon Stewart and Hawkgirl having a winged baby.
No, not the wing baby.
No, they just took the best parts of the characters, the best parts of the stories from the comics into it, but then they put in all of these other, I mean, that romance between Hawkgirl and Green Lantern, I remember thinking, wow, this don't feel like a comic book. This feels like an hour drama.
two heroes fell in love. Then he had to break up with her when her people invaded our planet.
Oh, those Thanagarians.
Hi, I'm Jaden. I'm from Hartford, Connecticut. I guess my question had to do with the late, great Dwayne McDuffie. Obviously, Phil played one of his, if not his biggest character in Static, and obviously he did several
Justice League episodes.
Justice League Unlimited and the Justice Lords story, and obviously Ben 10. Did you guys have any personal experience meeting Dwayne? Did you get a chance to meet Dwayne McDuffie? And has he left any impact on you guys?
I remember meeting him because I loved the stories so much. The scripts that they turned in were so beautiful. And I remember meeting him particularly on one episode that he had written. And it was the first time I met him, and I was struck by how humble he was, how complimentary he was, but how he just didn't want that put on him. He just enjoyed doing the work, really loved actors, and sometimes, it sounds strange, but in Hollywood, that's not always the case. Actors are sort of a necessary evil, and sometimes you're treated like the necessary idiot. But he was just a wonderful human being, and meeting him, you could understand why he wrote the kinds of stories he did, because he had such a vast well of humanity inside which he lived.
Yeah. No, I definitely met and spent time with Dwayne. Well, whenever there was anything in an episode that was a reference to something specific from a comic, I would go talk to Dwayne. Hey, Dwayne, is this from that episode, that issue? But we became connected, and sadly, we lost him. But thankfully, I get to continue Dwayne's legacy because I've been hosting the awards that are created and named after Dwayne. It's the Dwayne McDuffie Award for Diversity in Comics. That's now in 10 years.
Hi, I'm Josh from Rhode Island. My first question goes to Mr. LaMarr. So this is a very out of left field question. What were your thoughts when you found out your character Marvin in Pulp Fiction would be shot in the face by John Travolta?
Well, no, I knew he got shot in the face because it was a story about two hitmen. And, well, I mean, before auditioning, I got to read the script.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it wasn't a problem. Although it was interesting, after doing, before the shoot, Quentin Tarantino had us rehearse for the movie shoot. So, in rehearsal with John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson, I remember John, when I walked in, he's like, oh, John Travolta goes, oh, this is the guy I'm going to kill? The audience is going to hate me. But he then, because originally, my character Marvin was supposed to get shot twice. Once in the throat, and then while he's sitting there bleeding, Vince is supposed to shoot him in the head to, let me get you out of your misery. Oh, man. And John made a suggestion to Quentin Tarantino. It's like, no, the gun should just go off accidentally just once. I shouldn't kill him on purpose. So he changed it.
Wow. That's kind of sweet.
Another improv. As sweet as that could be. Yeah.
And it's amazing. It's like,
in that world.
Oh, wow. That's how you become that world famous, by understanding how people are going to feel about your character.
Now we can look at that scene in a whole new way.
Hi, my name is Randy, and I'm from Rhode Island. My question is, how do you get such strong emotions across as a voice actor without having the physical part of acting available to you?
Very good question.
Nice.
What I do is, first, you have all sorts of things in your life that you can relate it to, things that are similar, and you sort of have those on demand. When you're an actor, you probably pay more attention to those kinds of things and go back in your history and think about what is this like? Something that happened to me. And then you fill yourself with it. You're not telling anyone else, you're kind of telling yourself. And as you tell yourself, whatever the text is, it comes out in those words. That's the best I could do to express it. If I was a refrigerator, I would be raiding myself to do those roles. I would be looking and seeing what is in here that's like what I have to do, and then I would take that and eat it. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Carl Lumbly and Phil LaMarr. Justice League.
Thank you, League!
So much fun catching up with the gents. I met Phil previously, as I mentioned, at TerrifiCon. So glad I got to meet up with Carl in person, finally. That was so cool. And if you want to meet your favorite celebs and comic book creators, TerrifiCon is the place you need to be. Make your plans now, August 7th through the 9th. TerrifiCon.com is where you go for all the details. My thanks to Mitch Halleck, the man behind TerrifiCon, and the entire crew for making Comic Book Central feel welcome there each and every year. And I have one more Q&A to go. And it is with the man who holds the title of the most guest appearances on this show. He is a TerrifiCon veteran. He's the first celebrity to ever appear at a Mitch Halleck convention. He is a Comic Book Central legend, and he is the OG Flash. Yeah, I'm talking about the one, the only, John Wesley Shipp. It is our epic Q&A live from TerrifiCon. JWS closing out the adventure. What better way to cap off this terrific series of episodes? John's going to be here. You'll be here. I'll be here. We'll all be here. Until then, keep safe. Keep reading those comics. And thanks for joining me here in the lair. Comic Book Central, where comic books come to life. All original content of this podcast is the intellectual property of Comic Book Central. All other content and names are registered trademarks and copyrights of their respective holders.